And welcome back to Bitcoin Advisors channel. My name is Chris, bringing it to you here from Westlake Village, California. It is another beautiful, bright, and wonderful afternoon. And yes, the markets are about to close, and we did have a cooler than expected inflation report. Yeah, 7.1%. Doesn't sound like inflation to me, right? 7.1%. Just kidding here. It's still extremely high, and very, very likely the Fed is going to come out tomorrow and say something along the lines of our job's not done yet. However, if we do have a dovish tone tomorrow and he says something along the lines, oh, we're not going to raise rates for as long or as high as we thought, or we're going to keep the terminal rate down, under 5%, or, any kind of a bullish tone on recovery and soft landing, I would very, very likely line that up with a little bit of a Christmas rally. And that's what we had been postulating based on the dollar. If the dollar did this, we kind of called this out early on, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago or right when it happened last week, but said, hey, look, based on the dollar, if we on the quarterly, if we got a tick below here, very likely going to come down to the 9 exponential. And this is a 3-month signal. So, is it going to, happen in one day? No, very likely over the next quarter, which would line up for a bit of a bounce going into, the beginning of next year for Bitcoin and for traditional markets. However, I say that with caution, and just pulling it up on the daily and taking a look at what we had last spoke about is, very likely a test of the top side of the channel. And we did want to get a daily closure above 12,158 to kind of get the next leg and perhaps a break out of the channel. And what we were postulating a move back down on the bottom side of the range. That didn't happen. And we said, hey, look, if the dollar comes down, well, risk on assets very likely to rally, and vice versa. If the dollar begins to rally, then risk on assets would take a hit. And, the Fed came out bullish. And when I say that, the numbers are fluffed, 7.1%. We all know inflation is not really at 7.1%. It's got to be much higher than that. But it's enough to, ease expectations going into next year. So the stock market likes that. And that being said, if the dollar does close a daily back above 106, I am, and I would even call it 106. Yep. I'm looking for the dollar to mount an assault up to that green box. If that does happen, very likely risk on assets will take the next leg down. And, so a lot to see tomorrow. How does the Fed come out? And basically, I'm looking for the next lower high. And I do think based off of the daily volatility expansion read, we could see, somewhere around a 20% move from expansion. So where would 20% get us? Let's say we started expanding right here from this low. 20% gets you up to the 786, right in line with that downtrend on the daily time frame, and I would expect some selling pressure there. First stop is going to be at 18.5, which we've been talking about, and then the first, second, and third stop on the way up. For take profit 1, 2, and 3. If you're going long, I'm personally not. I like to play the trend and wait for the lower high and go with the trend. I could be wrong. I might have to reevaluate things going into the 3-month closure at the end of the year. So a lot can happen in 2 weeks. We have 2 weeks left in the year, and really interested to see how the dollar responds tomorrow. And so leave a comment below. Do you think the Fed is going to be more dovish or more hawkish tomorrow to bring down the markets and tighten down inflation? For sure. We'll have to see. I did want to point out something on Mr. Doggy Coin, Mr. Elon Musk coin here. We did get a golden cross on the daily time frame. And, if we were to put in a higher low by closing a daily here, anywhere here or higher above, not 0.05 cents, I'd be looking at a run up to 10 cents, which doesn't seem like much, but we're talking about a 10% move for Mr. Doggy Coin. And very likely, again, dovish, Fed tomorrow is going to be a bullish market for risk assets. And what else? Ethereum, basically looking for a move up into this box. This would be the 0.5 and the 618 fib. And if, again, the dollar wants to take that next major leg down, and I would really say, that 103.66 level is going to be key. If we do lose that on a closing basis, very likely, the next stop down probably going to come in at 101.28. So that would very much line up with risk assets taking a bit of a bounce through the end of the year. So tomorrow, hey, it could happen in one day. Look at this massive nosedive the dollar took here, as we missed inflation to the downside last print. So that, if a trend is a thing, I would say the trend is now that inflation is coming down, and that's why the market is interpreting it as good, and what the Fed is doing is working and bringing down inflation. Do you believe inflation is transitory? Yes. Do you believe we're going to have a soft landing? I could be wrong, and we have ways to identify that. And the dollar is going to be one of the key factors here. If the dollar starts to lose, on a weekly time frame basis, if we cannot, make a higher low somewhere here and really get going back above the 618 on the next drive, then big downtrend on the weekly, and we'd have a lower low and a lower high in place. So something to keep an eye on the weekly time frame for the dollar. And I'm not going to bore you guys too much. I think yesterday from Bitcoin's price action on the 4-hour, in the immediate term, what we did discuss yesterday is any kind of a break above 17.3 was likely going to get us a move to the 1618 fib, which we got. Overshot that and almost heading up to the 2. If we do it on a wick basis, you can see, we hit right at the 1618. So what am I looking at now is, as volatility, begins to decrease, if we get a Stoke cross to the downside, I'm looking for a mean reversion bounce and then continuation to the upside. As long as Bitcoin now is making, higher lows above 16.6, I'm going to be bullish on, basically Bitcoin taking a leg up to 18.5 at a minimum, and kind of the second target at all the way up at 19.8. I mean, it could get up there, and all eyes are on the Fed and the dollar. Tomorrow, I'll be back with another update. I hope you guys have a blessed and highly favored day. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.